Hi, I am Lyn, and this is the 4th generation Chevrolet Equinox. Let's talk about it.
First, it looks different. It's got more of a squared-off front end. They say that it's got more of Chevy's truck DNA with a revised fascia, and overall, it just gets more presence.
The front fascia on the ACTIV trim is just a little bit different. This piece here, which pushes out the front, squares it off a little bit, makes it a little bit more truck-like, a little bit more rugged looking. This does not exist on the RS or the LT. It just comes on the ACTIV, make it look a little tougher.
Of course, there's a headlight change, there always is, but there's definitely more personality here overall. And check out the wheel arches, they're a little bit more squared off. Again, more truck-like.
This two-tone paint is also an option. I don't know about you, but it's giving me kind of early like Land Rover vibes. I'm kind of digging it. But the roof line, this rear window is a little bit different from the 1st generation. If you saw them side by side,
oh yeah, there they are. And you can see that piece that gives it a floating roofline appearance. And this fin that juts out behind the roof gives it a flatter, longer look. It's 2.5 inches wider. That's kind of a lot, but personally, I think this looks a lot better.
So the big news that Chevy wants you to know here is about that ACTIV trim. It's all new. They've never done it before on the Equinox. And what you're gonna get is a rugged sort of looking package, which is great. I think I like the way that this looks. You are gonna get some different tires on here. You're gonna get some all-terrain general grabbers, which are actually a pretty decent tire. Those are on 17-inch wheels. It's not extreme, but this definitely in its all-wheel drive form will help you be able to kind of get off the beaten path just a little bit more.
Yes, you can get the Equinox in both front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. That will cost an extra $2,000 if you're wanting more security at all 4 corners.
The Equinox still gets the 1.5-liter turbocharged inline-4 underneath the hood. Makes 175 horsepower, and I mean, it's sort of decently powered. Like, I don't feel like this is sluggish or feeling heavy, so that is really good. There aren't really other powertrains that are available. I was talking with my drive partner, the marvelous Matt Deegan, and we kind of lamented the fact that there are no hybrid options here. There's no higher powered option here, but we kind of understand it and are not surprised by it. If you are looking for significantly more power and maybe more kind of an oomphy drive, then I would look at the Equinox EV maybe, but then that's a whole other can of worms. So there you go.
The new 8-speed automatic transmission really helps out as it's a quicker gear selector than the outgoing 9-speed.
So let's talk about how it feels while you're driving it as far as the comfort is concerned. Honestly, there's nothing that really stands out here one way or the other to me. It's not overly floaty, it's not firm or hard or jarring in any way, and I've been driving over some pretty ratty roads, at least downtown, but it's a very comfortable, it feels very sort of middle of the road, which is not necessarily to say that's a bad thing. I actually think it's very perfectly appropriate for this kind of car in this kind of application. I don't think anyone is going to have any complaints about how this feels when they're driving it. So I'm not gonna lie, this is not the most dynamic of drives, you guys. This is pretty much like a lot of straight roads. This roundabout is kind of the only turning that we've had an opportunity to do. And from what I can tell, it's fine. Yeah, there's a little bit of body roll here. I mean, that's to be expected. So I'm not really going to be able to comment on how it kind of handles, like in a turning situation. Sorry.
When it comes to brakes and steering, again, there's nothing that stands out here, and that's really not a bad thing. Both work well, and they aren't intrusive. The brakes feel confident, not overbearing, and the steering, yes, you get no feedback, but the weight is appropriate. This is an easy vehicle to drive by every measure.
You do get some different drive modes on the ACTIV and RS trims. On the RS, you're only going to get normal and snow, but On the Active, you are actually going to get an off-road mode. What that's going to do is it's going to release the nannies a little bit with traction control, so you can kind of keep your wheels spinning a little bit, so you can keep momentum up. I'm not going to be crazy and tell you you can do much more than this, but it should give you a little bit more traction and a little bit more stability at all four corners. In that snow mode, basically what it's going to do is it kind of like holds things in a little bit more, so you're not slipping as much in the snow, which is of course what you want. So when I say modes, I mean, you know, in Equinox form, that's an off-road mode. Don't go try stupid stuff. Come on, Lyn does not approve.
I mentioned the 8-speed automatic earlier, but you actually have 2 transmission options available in the Equinox now. A CVT gets employed with the front-wheel drive models. It feels adequate, but of course those are mostly built for efficiency and not drivability. That's a very good distinction, and one that I think would make spending that extra $2,000 for all-wheel drive well worth it.
When it comes to visibility and the in-cabin experience, visibility is actually pretty good. You've got a little bit of a corner window over there on the C-pillar, and so that's kind of nice. It has a little bit of an extra view. Over the left-hand side, it's not super terrific, but you know, you have safety features and cameras and bing bongs and everything else, so that is helpful. As far as peace and quiet in here, these all-terrain tires do give you a little bit more road noise than you get on the Michelins that are on the RS. But I definitely think it's not so overly loud that it's not something that you're not going to probably very easily get used to, either with the chatter that goes on in the back or with your radio on.
The interior gets some major love. First off, you're getting a much larger standard screen. It's now 11.3 inches, which is terrific. You also get an 11-inch digital instrument cluster. You do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility here, which you don't get on Chevy EV models. There you only get Google built-in, which you also get here, by the way.
I absolutely love how the interior of the Active trim looks. You get this kind of, I think they're calling it like brown sugar or maple syrup or something, I don't know, but it's lovely. They've got really nice texture in here, really nice colors, really nice patterns. The stitching is really pretty. Honestly, I love that it's not black. I love that there's not a whole lot of plastic that you're actually touching. If there is, it's kind of well disguised. I think it absolutely looks way more expensive than this car is, and I love it.
The RS gets a darker colorway with subtle red accents. I really like the blue stitching that they've added to mellow out the usual dramatic red. The base LT even gets some nice textures and patterns to make it interesting. I really do think that Chevrolet did a fantastic job with these interiors.
The screens are oriented toward the driver, giving you a little bit of that kind of cockpit feel, which I think is really great. Everything is really intuitively placed. I think there's a nice combination between buttons and screen. I really like how the vents look. I think they're different. They feel good in my hand. Overall, everything is really thought out in here. And again, this is such an improvement from the previous generation. So very nicely done, Chevrolet.
You can opt for wireless charging, always nice, and other upgrades like front bucket seats that are ventilated and power adjustable with lumbar support. The convenience package also includes driver memory seats. That's very handy if you've got 2 drivers.
Safety is another place where Chevrolet has upped the ante on the Equinox.
In addition to emergency braking, forward collision alerts, lane keeping assist with departure warnings, and following distance indicator, those all come standard, you're now getting extra advanced features like lane change alerts with side blind zone alerts, rear cross traffic braking, and enhanced lane keeping assist. You can add a safety and tech package that adds an HD surround camera system, rear pedestrian detection, traffic sign recognition, and a rear view mirror camera. Automatic emergency braking is now both camera and radar based, so it can see farther ahead and it's more responsive. There's also radar employed for the rear blind spot, so that should work a lot better too. Pricing on the Equinox starts at $31,390 for the LT front-wheel drive trim. For the RS and the Active trim, you'll spend $35,790. Yes, both are the same, but Chevrolet figures you're getting different but equal stuff. Makes sense. If you're looking to cross-shop, check out, well, almost everything else out there. That includes the Hyundai Tucson, Toyota RAV4, Honda CR-V, Ford Escape, or Bronco Sport if you really have a hankering for off-road adventure, the Kia Sportage, or Nissan Rogue. There are more, but, you know, we only have so much time.
If you're ready to buy an Equinox or any of those other competitors that I just mentioned, then head to that link right above me. Kelley Blue Book can help you find a fair purchase price on any one of them.
So I wouldn't call it a complete new generation, but this Equinox gets some very significant upgrades that make it look like a whole new thing.
From the new Active trim to the new interior, all the new tech, all the new safety features, it looks like Chevrolet is going to be able to keep counting on the strong sales for the Equinox. If you're looking for a compact SUV, this checks off so many boxes. I would put it on my list.